this episode that is just gonna try to kill me. And it's gonna try to assassinate me. Yeah, Tesla beeping a few times. Tesla panicking. A red car blinking. And Elon Musk laughing his ass off because he took my money. Have fun? Enjoy. Welcome guys and girls. Today we're gonna have a look at Tesla FSD and enhanced autopilot in Europe in 2024, heading to 2025, if it's worth your money or not. Starting with the highway, continuing on the roads, chapter number 3, how does it drive in the city? Further on, is it any good at parking? Chapter number 5, going to summon, if it's any good, and last but not least, we're gonna draw a conclusion if it's worth your money or if you should use it rather in other directions. So that being said, get your popcorn ready, leave a like, leave a subscribe, enjoy, and let's get into the Tesla. Alright, we're gonna start with chapter number 1 and have a look at how Tesla FSD acts in Europe on the highway, and you get the navigate on autopilot and the lane change, and this is exactly the same as you get on enhanced autopilot. So that being said, it is not allowed to change lanes while not on the motorway. So meaning here I took the control manually and now I enabled it, as again it's not allowed to do lefts or rights, changing the direction of driving. So in Europe with Tesla FSD you're gonna have to do this manually every time. And the first thing that we notice here is the fact that it's pretty slow to come up to speed, right? So navigate on autopilot is enabled, FSD is enabled, but it's pretty slow to come up to speed, right? So I would prefer it to come up to speed a little bit quicker, as it's pretty slow for the other traffic. Here we have another situation where it changes motorways, changes lanes, and it does a fantastic job. So yeah, nothing to comment there other than fantastic job in changing the lanes, keeping the right speed, everything well. We're starting with the positive. Braking, keeping the right distance to the cars in front, really almost spotless, I would say. Not too much to say. And here, driving on the motorway again, we can see that I have activated FSD, and we kind of see the same tendency where it's not that quick to get up to speed. Most probably it's checking out other cars, it's checking out the lanes and so on. Nonetheless, it is slow for the traffic behind. Here we can see it merging pretty carefully, suggesting to change the lane and doing it. One of the limitations that we have in Europe with Tesla FSD is the fact that it is not allowed neither on the motorway. It is not allowed to change the lane without you confirming to blink and also pulling slightly the steering wheel. And here we can see it doing a pretty great job, coming slowly but surely up to speed. Here we see a night situation. We are on FSD, doing a great job taking the motorway and also turning around slowly. Very sharp turns here, doing a great job, panicking a little bit, as you heard, but otherwise doing a great job getting onto the motorway and merging, accepting the kind of slow speed. Nonetheless, fantastic job, great assistance functionality. And here we have a situation where we can see that it doesn't notice the 80 speed warning. This is kilometers per hour, so it kind of ignores it completely, so we have to adjust it manually, otherwise it would accelerate like crazy and make sure that we got a big fine. And here another speed limit, we see 110. It doesn't change the speed, it knows that the speed has changed, but I have to confirm it manually on the screen, as you saw. And yet another speed limitation, nothing is happening. You can see here it's 80. The speed is way too high, so I have to reduce manually on the scroll wheel and keep an eye on the speed limitation, otherwise I would get a pretty big fine. Here another limitation, 80. Same situation as before. Here a 110, exactly the same. It knows that the speed is reduced, but it doesn't reduce the speed by itself. I have to press the screen. Another example here, it shows 90, I press on the screen. The speed is way too high, as I already passed the 90 and we're driving way too quick. And then again another speed limitation, a 70 this time. I have to press it, and yet again I'm way too fast. If a radar control would be there, that would be damn expensive. Another example of speed limitation where I have to press the screen or keep the gear changer down in order to tell the car to adapt the speed to the new limitation. What I have to mention is the fact that I'm on the latest version of Tesla FSD always, and I am on the setting of advanced so that I get software updates as soon as possible. Also, I'm sharing all data with Tesla, which seems to accelerate the software update process. I've owned the car for 1.5 years now, and I do not notice any significant improvement. Some things got a little bit better, some things a little bit worse. Obviously version 12 came in the meantime, the display is a little bit better. Now, at least for some countries, it shows the speed limitations, and it sees the speed limitations for the motorways. It wasn't the case in every country. In Europe, it looks like it does it more in smaller countries as well now. And slowly but surely we're switching over to the fact that it is too slow to tell that you should change the lane. So if you rely on it, it's gonna brake, it's gonna slow down, and then it's gonna accelerate. You can see here an example where it sits behind a truck or a van, and it doesn't suggest to overtake it. And here another example, we're coming pretty strong from behind, it is braking, now it is suggesting to change the lane, and we already lost momentum and we are slowing down. Another example here, we're coming pretty high speed, it is braking, suggesting to overtake, we're overtaking, we're blinking, we are pulling the steering wheel, and we lost lots of momentum. Exactly the same example here, it is not suggesting us to take over, it is sitting behind the truck and not suggesting. So what I want to say with this one is the fact that driving manually is much smoother and rounder, I would say, right? You cannot rely on it. So my suggestion is, if you have FSD or enhanced autopilot, initiate the automatic overtakings by yourselves. As you can see here, you're gonna lose every time lots of momentum until the car realizes that, oh, most probably I should overtake here, and until it suggests, until you blink, until you pull on the steering wheel, you already lost lots of kilometers an hour, and it's not smooth for other traffic participants. And here you can see people are overtaking on the right side because the car doesn't move to the right lane as it should in Europe. Another example here, instead of making the traffic effective and move to the left so that it makes space for the other traffic participants, it brakes, it blocks them, it confuses them. It is a risk for an accident. So here I took over manually, I blinked, but it was still too late, and the poor traffic participants, they might be wondering what this confused Tesla driver is doing. Here we have another example of not optimizing the traffic. And here we can actually see it panicking as the lanes change in a traffic work area. Otherwise, keeping the yellow lines pretty well, not bad, but kind of scary close, if you ask me. And here we have heavy rain, pretty nice speed, overtaking pretty safely, and all of a sudden Tesla FSD panics and cancels as it thought we're gonna crash. And here, still not optimizing the traffic, braking, blocking the other traffic participant, making it pretty uncomfortable. Here we can see an overtaking maneuver on the motorway, which gets cancelled right in the middle of the maneuver. A horrible feeling. Traffic participants around might think that I'm under the influence. You can see it again, doing into the middle and then bouncing right back into the lane, which is a pretty scary experience, exactly like this one, where it's kind of confused and doesn't know which lane to keep, and it needs a little bit help from me, but all in all, it was fine. And in this situation here, it advises me to go over the continuous line initially, because there are some construction obstacles on the right side, and it does it a lot, which obviously it's illegal to go over a continuous line. In the next example, we're doing 140 kilometers an hour, and it suggests me to change the lane behind a truck which drives 90, which would be not the most intelligent solution. And a similar situation here, we're driving pretty quickly, definitely much quicker than a truck. Nonetheless, it advises me to change the lane behind it and lose lots of speed. And here we can see it again advising to go over a continuous line. And in this situation I have to press on the screen to tell it to go full speed. In this situation we can see what it does when it goes off the motorway. It goes into panic and wants to crash. And here to our beloved supercharger network. Thank you, Elon. Please rehire the whole team of superchargers. We need more in whole Europe. Nonetheless, we have some really good examples of Tesla FSD keeping the line properly, getting pretty close to some of the barriers, but nonetheless doing a fantastic job staying close and driving pretty well. Not bad at all. Here we have some night examples. Driving 140. Here some rain examples as well. Pretty heavy rain, I would say. One of the things that happens when it rains is the fact that Navigate on Autopilot gets disabled and it doesn't suggest changing the lanes automatically. You can still suggest it to change the lanes automatically and it will do it, just it won't suggest it by itself. And if it rains too hard, it's gonna say that Autopilot has bad visibility and it's gonna reduce the speed, as you saw in that example. And last but not least, on the motorway we can see a merge doing a fantastic job, no panic, leaving the distance, everything okay. Congratulations, you survived the first chapter and we're moving ahead to chapter 2 to see how Tesla FSD acts on roads in Europe. So mostly it's stop at lights and crossroads compared to enhanced autopilot and the regular autopilot. Here we have the first situation where it brakes behind a car. The regular autopilot will do the same, so nothing special in here. The issue is though that it's very slow to go up to speed and the cars behind us kind of wonder what's going on. Another situation in here where there is a limitation of 60 and the car is very slow to brake. And the next example is the fact that Tesla FSD does not brake for speed bumps in Europe, taking them full speed ahead. One of the limitations that we have in Europe with Tesla FSD is the fact that even though it's green, you have to confirm by pressing the accelerator or the gear stick down, even though it's green, so that it drives ahead, otherwise it's gonna stop. And here you can see Tesla FSD being a little bit confused, going to left and then braking from 80, which is the limit over there, to 64, even though it's not that dangerous, and then going full speed ahead to 80. Here we can see we go into a village and the car is way too fast. I have to take over. Very dangerous situation. Here we can see a limitation of 70. The car is braking, but as I was saying, it's not allowed to change the direction, so I have to take over. Otherwise it would not change to left, there where the navigation shows the car that it should go. And here we see a speed limitation, which again the car sees, but I have to click on the screen or hold the gear stick down to confirm that the speed is the right speed, otherwise it's gonna overspeed. And here you can see it as well, it's reducing the speed, but very late. We're in a village, driving way too quick, and the fine would be crazy expensive. Here we can see 60 again. The car is reducing the speed, but too slow. We're too fast here, way too fast. And now we can finally kind of see it reducing the speed. Way too late. That would have cost lots of money. Here we can see a limitation of 70, the car doing well. And here the limitation is gone, the car is doing well again. And here we can see a limitation for trucks and cars with trailers, but the Tesla doesn't know about it, so it's just a 70. Not good. It's 80 for non-trucks, non-trailer cars. Here we can actually see it reducing the speed. All good. But then, for a reason, it decides to speed up. Not a good idea, Tesla. Not a good idea at all. Why would you do that? Here is another speed limitation. We see 70. Reduces fine. Then here it tries to reduce to 50, and here way too fast. I have to take over, otherwise it would have hit the curb. And the car was panicking. In this scenario I have to click on the screen so that the car adapts the speed. And in this scenario the car panics because it sees a bicycle red light, which it thinks it's a car red light, so it goes panicking. And after going really close to the curb, I take over. And here I let it drive straight ahead. It should follow the car in front, but it doesn't. It goes on the opposite sense, so I have to take over, otherwise it would have crashed most probably. And in this scene it gets green. I click the gear selector, as you can see it drives forward, but then it kind of panics and cancels, and I have to take over to avoid the crash. In this scenario we are letting Tesla FSD in Europe in 2024 drive into the roundabout to see what happens. At this moment it's very slow, no cars behind, otherwise they would have gone mad. It's going in the roundabout and then panicking and putting the hazards on. Obviously no cars around, so I take over and I drive it further. And this is one of the most dangerous scenarios I've had, where the car cannot keep up with the road, gets thrown on the other side, and it decides to stay there, which is really dangerous. I have to take over. And here we can see the same situation where there are no markings. The car goes in the middle of the road where there are two lanes, one for each direction, and then it just decides to stay on the opposite side, so I have to take over. Very dangerous. And here you can see a sped up version where actually Tesla FSD does a great job in going on a really narrow road with no markings, stays behind the lines, between the lines, as it should. So great job there. Another situation here where I let Tesla FSD to stop at the stop line, and when I confirm for it to go further ahead, it goes in panic, puts the hazards on, and I have to take over as it didn't know where to drive. It had to drive to the right. Another scenario here where it jumps over a double line, which would normally make me lose my license. Another scene here where I let it stop at the stop line. It stops. I confirm after the cars are gone. I blink, the navigation knows where to go, the GPS is set up, and then it panics and I have to take over, otherwise no idea what would have happened. Another scenario here, it gets green. I confirm for it to go ahead. It just cancels in the middle of the intersection. Very dangerous. Yet another scenario here with a roundabout. I let it drive around the roundabout, pretty slow going in. I'm just letting it to see what happens. No cars around. It cancels, puts the hazards on and brakes, which is actually not bad. It stops me in safety, but not what I expected for so much money, right? Here again, ghost braking. It panics because there are no markings and it thinks it's gonna drive frontally into another car on the other side of the road. And here we can see it's green. I confirmed that it should drive ahead, but then we have a bicycle red and it panics because it thinks it ran the red light. Not good. Here a famous intersection where it cannot hold the line. Same intersection again, you can see jumping the lines and not knowing where to go, so cancelling in the middle of the intersection where I have to take over. Also a very dangerous scene here where it drives off the road, as it was a little bit too much for Tesla FSD in Europe. Pretty scary, I have to admit. And in this scenario we have a really sharp corner, the car is braking fine, some pedestrians, car is handling it well, a little bit slow but not bad, and here holding the lines pretty well, car coming from in front almost over the lines, but not bad, could have been worse. Same corner from the other direction, we can see the car here holding between the lines really well, cutting the corner a little bit just like a human driver would do, and then accelerating up to speed, a little bit slow for my liking, but not bad. Some other complicated corners, we can see the car driving over the line, not safe, definitely not safe, you cannot rely on it. Here cars driving around, the car almost driving off the road, but overall doing a okay job, even though it struggles to stay on this road. Sharp corner here as well, the car is panicking a little bit, but overall doing a great job. And the scenario here, as I was saying, the car is not allowed to change lanes on anything else other than the motorway, so if it sees a bicycle or a scooter or something like that, it's gonna stay behind it until you decide to take over and overtake. Good scenario here, we can see the car doing a great job, and here we can see that if you do not have any markings, you cannot enable FSD. You can enable it before, and if the markings disappear, the car is gonna try to stay in lane, but otherwise it's not gonna do it, it's not gonna initiate if you don't have lane markings at the beginning. Here we can see it's yellow, the car goes forward, so great job. I could see the red, but a human driver would have done the same rather than braking abruptly. Some more sharp corners here in the woods, the car doing a pretty good job braking and keeping between the lines, but not that smooth. My family didn't think that was fun. The more sharp corners, the car is trying to hold. You can see it's braking a little bit. I would rather brake before the corner and not in the middle of the corner, which is dangerous. Congratulations if you're still here. You have made it to chapter 3, city, and mostly it's the same, stop at lights and crossroads, just in the city, otherwise it's the same as the enhanced autopilot or autopilot, no differences there. As I was saying, the car is not able to switch the lane, so it's gonna sit behind cars, bicycles, scooters and so on, so you have to take over manually. Other than that, you can see here that if 2 lanes become into 1, it's gonna do a pretty good job, not bad. And moving into more dense traffic here, we can see the car doing a pretty good job, holding the lane, holding the distance, looking at the traffic lights, not getting scared because the markings disappear. And you can see here I confirm that it's green. As I was mentioning before, you have to confirm every time the car goes through a green light that it's green by either pressing on the gear knob or pressing the accelerator, and you're gonna see me doing it a lot in these scenarios. And you can see here again the car, even though the traffic is pretty tight, the car is doing a fantastic job holding the line, holding the distance to other cars. So fantastic job. Here I kind of panicked, I didn't feel secure as there were lots of people and bicyclists, so I had to take over. It's more about the feeling, right? If you don't feel secure, take over, don't risk it. Some obstacles on the road, and here I take over and the car panics as I was afraid that it would drive in the cars in front. It got really close, I felt insecure, so I had to take over. Not a great job. On the other side here you can actually see the car doing a pretty good job, and here I have to take over as it was going way too close to the cars in front. Good job going by. Here waiting and braking way too much. After the car was out of the way of the Tesla, it was still braking. Here a bus has stopped, but not completely over the line, so I have to take over. The car panics as I was afraid that it would hit it. The distance was not safe enough for me, and the bicyclist there, very tight, very risky. The car brakes here, it has to make a left, it brakes, but I have to take over as I didn't feel secure that the car would make it. I don't want to risk it. And here we can see the car kind of getting up to speed, but very slow. Keeping the lane really well here, going a little bit over the markings just like a human. Lots of cars, holding the right distance, so here I felt pretty safe with it. Very smooth, no problems. Lots of pedestrians everywhere, no problems. The car is not panicking, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Great job Tesla FSD in here. You can do it, just not consistent. That's the problem. You never know when it's gonna surprise you. I had to take over there as it wasn't secure. Here the lanes are merging, doing a pretty good job. And yet again here, lanes merging. Great job, not panicking, holding the line. Well done. And here we can see it braking at the traffic light when it was already yellow. A left turn here, the car doesn't do a great job. It panics, so I have to take over as it was kind of going straight forward. And here we can see it panicking because a bus wasn't over the line. And in this scene we can see that it gets yellow, the car is undecided, it kind of wants to brake but drive forward, so I have to take over and drive forward as it would have most probably stopped in the middle of the intersection. Not the first time it happens. Here you can see it kind of driving slow, braking weirdly as it does many times. And here you can see it doing a good job going in the lane. Here going forward, we have fog, but no problems. Great job, holding the line really well. Complicated city situation where we have road construction and bicyclists. And what the car is gonna do is not gonna change the lane, so I had to take over. Otherwise, I would be stuck behind the bicyclists until they decide to disappear. Car kind of panicking here, going left, right. Not bad. Here we can see cars on the right parked, no markings, but the car knows to stick to the left. So great job here Tesla, great job. You can do it. Why not everywhere? Why not consistent? Here kind of jiggling around left to right. Same scenario here, you can see the steering wheel, not very comfortable, kind of jiggling, kind of a new beginner scenario, kind of behavior. Here's some roadworks again. I had to take over. Kind of scary. And here going on the opposite, wrong lane, I had to take over. Here the steering wheel jiggling again, you can see it, not very comfortable. And I'm ready to take over as I don't feel secure. Same scenario here, the car kind of goes in the middle, then bumps back. And last but not least, here we can see how close it goes. Luckily no one there, but it goes really close and unsecure. Also taking some water and spraying it all over. What? I cannot believe it. Are you still here, man? Or woman? Or boy? Or girl? Or whatever. Congratulations. We are going up to chapter 4 parking, which is a part of FSD and also enhanced autopilot. And you're gonna see as soon as I start the parking, we have a timer running. And obviously, after I did the videos, an update came which improved the parking. But this is what it was until a few weeks ago. And obviously, subscribe and stay tuned so that you see if the update improves the situation in any way. As you can see here, over 30 seconds for a very simple parking, which I would have done in one piece. For some reason, AutoPark does it in 3 pieces, even though it has lots of space. You can see here as well, it's sped up. Very, very slow, and over 30 seconds again, way too slow. From the other side, the parking spaces are marked well, there is lots of space, the car decides to drive in front and then back again. Very slow, better than nothing, but over 40 seconds, not good. And another try here, lots of distance to the parking spaces, it should have made it in one go. Obviously I have sped it up, but the seconds there showing the right time, and here you can see it again doing even more moves here, over 50 seconds for a parking. Not acceptable. This parking space is a little bit more complicated as the parking spaces are in diagonal, very well marked, lots of space. I'm trying to get the AutoPark to see the parking spaces. No chance. Not at all. It doesn't see anything. Trying again, trying to find some parking places, still nothing. I try to catch it, it tells me, and finally it makes it. So in 3 moves again, blinking fine, but we still have over 30 seconds, way too much. I would have done it in half the time without hurrying up. Trying again, blinking fine, driving fine this time, and finally it does it in one move, saving lots of time and making and doing it in an acceptable time frame, under 20 seconds. Congratulations Tesla, finally. Lateral parking this time. Not the easiest one, not the most complicated one. I guess if you're an parking anti-talent, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's better than nothing. What's sure is that neighbors and people are gonna stare at you, wondering what the hell you're doing, just like in this case where one of my neighbors was walking his dog, wondering what the hell I was doing. Obviously, letting the Tesla park by itself and taking lots of time, over 1 minute. And yet the same scenario again. We can see that inconsistency is the challenge. Just like with autopilot, with FSD, the parking is exactly the same, where it's inconsistent, and in the same space it fails, same lighting conditions. Simple parking, lots of marking, lots of space, taking lots of time, and then giving up by itself. The most annoying scenario I've had with auto parking, where we have a lateral parking this time, and this one caused to scratch my rim. You can see here the car is insisting on climbing on the grass and then driving back. Still not happy, so what's gonna do is it's gonna go up again. Obviously in the car it doesn't seem nice at all, it doesn't feel nice. Kids are panicking, the car is rotating the wheels while not moving, which is not recommended. And here you can see how the car jumps down from 10-15 centimeters. Not good, not good at all, not good at all. And over 1 minute for this parking here. Not optimal at all, not optimal at all. I cannot believe it, you're still here. Congratulations, you made it to chapter number 5, Summon, which is a part of FSD and also enhanced autopilot in Europe. So let's see if maybe Summon makes it worth the money. Here I am at around 43 meters away from the car, which is 150 feet. No joy. Then I went closer by to around 20 meters, which is around 50 feet, 60 feet. Still no joy. You can see a circle around the car on my phone. Still the car, it doesn't want to drive. It draws a route, but it doesn't want to come to me. Going to 15 meters, which is around 50 feet. Still no joy. It says summon failed. Move the phone key closer to the car. Now at 12 meters, which is around 40 feet. Still no joy. The car doesn't want to move. Going out of summon, going back in, sometimes it helps. Trying my best, pressing the buttons, and I am on a parking space. It would not do summon if I wasn't on a parking place. If I was on a public road, then it would refuse and say that I had to go on a non-public road. Went even closer here, 7-8 meters away from the car, 6 meters. I get the same message that I have to go closer as the key does not connect. I'm here at 2 meters, still trying my best here. Car doesn't want to drive, and finally I see some movement, the lights are on, but then I get the error that I have to move the phone key closer. Going out, going back in, sometimes it helps. Trying again. Still no joy. Trying my best to make it work here. Pressing everything, it just says that it connects, but nothing happens. Waiting for the connection to happen. Nothing really happens. And by the way, I'm an IT guy. For your information, I'm on the latest iOS, latest firmware on the car. I rebooted the phone, still no result. It's just the way it is. Also, latest Tesla application installed from the App Store. We could see there that it finally moved. So I'm killing the app, trying to go back in, more distances, still nothing, same result. So I really have to go very close by, which kind of defies the purpose of the summon, which should help with bringing the car if it rains or something like that to pick you up. You can see it here finally moving, but giving us a message that it's waiting so that the phone comes closer by in connection to the car. So you can see as soon as I go closer to the car, it finally moves, but as soon as it drives further away, it stops, saying that it waits for the phone to connect. Not optimal at all. So I really have to be close by. And from my experience, I noticed that if I am on the sides, it works best. Blinking there and then waiting again for me to go close by. It doesn't make sense at all. It's just like instead of walking the dog, I walk the Tesla. Not fun. Not fun at all. Neighbors staring. But as a Tesla owner, they're used to it. So finally, after 9 minutes of trying summon, I get it to kind of work, at least move the car while I'm not inside, but far away from smart summon or picking me up from a few meters, even though I had the car inside. And you can see it here, finally driving a little bit quicker. We drove around 10 meters until now, and there is another limitation happening right now. The car doesn't want to move anymore after it drove 12 meters. I kill the app, try again to move it, and then it just gives the error that it drove the maximum allowed distance, so the car was stuck in the middle of the parking space. Another scenario where someone would be great is the fact that you should be able to drive your car in the carport due to limited space, getting the kids in and out, getting luggage in and out, and so on. So this is why I'm trying right now to drive it in the carport. No success. It tells me that I have to move closer for a connection. And finally something is happening. The car is moving. There you have to go. Yep, rotating the steering wheel on the spot. Not recommended as you're braking your tires. And the car kind of successfully goes in, but then it stops and it says waiting for the phone to be in Bluetooth range. Then it stops, kind of in the middle. I have to kill the app, open it again, and then it says that it's way too steep to continue. So what should I do? I was stuck. I had to jump in the car, drive it in. So I said, okay, let's test how it is to drive it out. So I'm trying to drive it out. Still no success. Kind of blinking, and finally it's driving very slowly. Losing my patience and lots of time and my hair. Still no joy. Not good at all. Waiting, already 30 seconds to move 2 meters. Finally, very cautious, moving, backing out. Yay, finally I'm gonna have more space to put the kids in and the luggage, and all of a sudden it stops and it's stuck. So what should I do now? checking it out. What should I do? Okay, let's go out. It's connecting, and then it says the same message. It is too steep to continue. So from around 10 degrees or something, it will not work. Oh my god, I cannot believe it. Congratulations, you made it up to chapter 6, where we're gonna talk about the conclusions. Is it worth spending your hard-earned money, or not that hard-earned, depending on the legality of your activities? No comments. Or if you should rather spend your money on something else. And I have to admit that if you're a nerd like me, if you want the best of the best, then maybe it's worth it. I wouldn't buy it for new. In Europe it's around 7,500 euros. That's way too overpriced, way too expensive, and to be seen more like an investment for the future. But you will never get the money back if you sell the car. On the other hand, if you buy a used Tesla, then the difference between a car with FSD and a car without FSD is maybe not that big. So maybe it's worth it for the future. There are rumors and confirmations saying that it's gonna come to Europe, Tesla FSD similar to the North American one, around middle 2025. I'm gonna leave a link to a video of Steven Peters from Belgium, who has a very comprehensive analysis on it. Is it worth it as it is right now? Can I recommend it to everybody? No. For my wife, I have it deactivated as it's dangerous. But for me, as a nerd, as a geek, as a Tesla fan, I'd say kind of enjoy it. It's crazy. It's insane, even though it's way behind the North American version. It hasn't progressed in Europe for many years. It's still fun. I mean, being realistic, where we were 10 years ago and when we are now, that's pretty impressive that a car can hold the lane, can hold the distance to the cars in front, can de-fatigue your drives. Pretty nice, yeah. Whew. That's it, guys. We made it. Congratulations. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a like, see you around.